Welcome to Live, Love, and Marry Wiser, where our mission is in our name. If you are a longtime viewer, you know that we are on hiatus from our live programs, but we still have great content to share with you. Recently, we started recording our conversations that happened after the broadcast end, and those have been fantastic. So now we actually call that AFTERWIZE, and in the future we'll allow guest viewers to join us backstage to be a part of those conversations. This conversation that you will hear this week is what happened after our episode on Passport Brothers versus American Women. And this is myself, Onita, Renee, Hayden, and then our other host, Ebony, joined us backstage. This is a little bit more casual, a little bit more fun conversation, but we still delve into more of the issues around relationships between men and women. We hope that you enjoy it, and we will see you at we'll be posting every Tuesday at 6:15 like normal, and we look forward to seeing you back live on January 16th. Hope you enjoy the episode. Please subscribe, like, comment, give us your thoughts and your feedback on these topics so that we can know what else you want to talk about, but also so that others can see and learn about this program. We believe that we are working for God, for relationships, and for each other to build stronger marriages, free relationships, children, friendships, and just the kingdom of God. God bless you, and we'll see you soon.
So sorry, y'all. I'm quick. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so I'm sorry. I'm in the middle of cooking, but that seriously was a fantastic conversation. One part of me was like, oh, I wish I was on there live, but then there were so many like competing thoughts in my mind. I was like, it's probably good that I'm not on there because I don't know that I would have been able to make cohesive thoughts. But I think one of the aspects that I would like to see us expand on particularly, and I put a little bit of it in the chat, it's not just, yes, there's some Black women who are showing up foul in these spaces. And there are historical, systemic reasons why Black women are showing up the way that they are.
Yeah.
And I think that is a part of the conversation that's missing that needs to be brought to the table. Because to Onita's point, some of that is that we aren't healed. Some of that is because we have been put in positions where we have had to lead because we didn't have a choice. We didn't want to. You know what I'm saying? We didn't want to have to be single. We didn't want to have to go after that bag, but we had to because we had family to take care of. Or we had to take care of ourselves because there was nobody there to do that. Yes. And so some of us have learned that. And even though, y'all know I was raised by my father, but my mother's influence was still, do you. You gotta be a hard woman. You gotta be able to take care of yourself. Don't let no man run you, all the things. And even though I had my father's influence, I still brought a good bit of that mentality into my marriage. But I wasn't taught differently. I hadn't experienced differently. But I think about the sisters who didn't have the balance that I had from my father, or a husband who was like, we're not gonna relate to each other that way, sis. That's not what we're doing. That's not how we get down over here, okay? And to Lo's point, I didn't want to show up that way, but that was what I saw from the women in my life who influenced me. But when my husband was like, you don't got to be like that, that was behavior that I had to unlearn, and still unlearning a good bit of it. I think that would be an important expansion in the topic.
Yeah, it will be, and I think it's really a whole episode, because I thought of it and I wanted to say it as we were getting close to an hour and 30 minutes. I mean, like, really, because I was just like, yeah, men are saying that Black men particularly are saying that, Black women are masculine and they, they doing all these things and they just, but it's just like, yeah, but how many of them were raised in single homes where the mother was having to do that because the father wasn't, not only was he not there, but often wasn't even paying child support. So she had to be working 2 and 3 jobs, trying to just make ends meet. And you have to handle business as best as you can. And they weren't getting no therapy. They weren't going, first of all, who even had time for therapy? But but I can't spend no money on that. And now, and you're seeing that, and you're being told, like Renee said, he might leave you, so you need to handle your own business and make sure you can take care of yourself. But then the other lessons aren't being learned, even if they might have thought it in their mind, though many of them probably didn't. They aren't able to communicate that because they in survival mode. Survival mode. And so, and I feel this a lot. What she said, I have to hang out with my passport. I feel, she got to go hang out with Richie. I said she got to hang out with her passport. What's she talking? He said, she got to go with Richie. I feel this a lot as a single woman who's always been single, because I had to do everything, especially in the house. Not just cleaning and cooking, of course, but I had to make sure when the plumbing, I had to figure that out. And a lot of times I had to fix it because I couldn't afford to or didn't want to spend the money. I had to figure out how to fix this and figure out how to do that and Google this and YouTube. And
so Lorraine, when you get married and the plumbing goes out and you're like, hey, the plumbing's out, and he hesitates for 10 minutes.
I'm gonna try not to do what other people I know have done, because you just we need the plumbing fixed. But see, my thing is, I'm gonna be able to recognize that while we dating. So we're not gonna get married if you can't come up with us. So
is there a sin if he hesitates?
You don't gotta fix it. You just gotta come up with a solution. Because I already have the solution in my mind.
That's a problem, I think.
Let me say this, Lorraine.
I'm gonna get you, Renee. Let me just say this. I can't stop being the person who obviously, in many respects, God created me to be, because he's the one who kept me single for this long. But he's also one who who let the plumbing go out. He's, what I'm saying? So all of that, and YouTube came along, and I could figure all that out. So how do I stop being? I can stop acting, which I'm not in favor.
That is the key.
So now we gotta have a broken toilet because you a doofus. But I get what you're saying. Go ahead, Renee. I want to hear what you got to say, because I just want a man who can handle the fact that I know how to do stuff, but it doesn't mean that I don't need him, because I don't need him to fix the toilet. I need him to deal with the stuff. And I need him because I just want him. I don't want to have to fix the toilet. I don't want to have to figure it out. It's not that I can't, it's that I don't want to, and I wasn't even really made to. So go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I think that's one of those things that you're really not going to get a strong handle on until you actually get into a relationship. And you guys might bump heads for a little bit, but there has to be that window of grace or whatever for you guys to get your system and your groove down. Because again, when you're like us, women who are just I can do it all myself, I can move the furniture, I can fix the plumbing, I can, YouTube how to change my oil, I can figure out how to, change my tires, I can go get my oil changed, I can do it all. It's going to take a minute when somebody else comes in and says, wait a minute, stop, I got it. She was telling me basically she had the same issue. It was nothing for her to come home from the grocery store and immediately go to the back seat or to the trunk and get the groceries. And her husband had to keep coming out and keep reminding her, I'm here. She said when she's at the kitchen cabinets, getting ready to reach up and grab something, he has to come stand beside her and say, don't forget, I'm here. You know what I mean? So it is even taking a while for her to get accustomed, trying to rewire that brain and do that unlearning, that we were just talking about. In order for her for them to get their system and their groove, because you got a whole life of me operating this way, a whole life of you operating this way, and we're going to figure out how to make that thing work.
Yeah.
But it feels good when somebody else comes in and at it.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. But and I agree that there will have to be, but I think that I'll be testing him during the dating period to be like, can he step up? Because I'm tired. Like I'm tired at a place that sometimes I can't even articulate having to do everything. This business is a thing in and of itself. Yeah. But just life. I'm so tired that for someone to say, in fact, I just had a situation. Obviously, I'm not dating her, but just a woman in the group, she was like designing the cover for the book. I had designed the idea. And she was just like, you've already got this. You don't need me because I was like, girl, I have spent my life having to do everything on my own, especially the last 3 years. I will pay you just to take this off my hand. Yeah. So I don't have to think about it. So that's kind of like, I'm exhausted. And I want a man who's just like, I got you. I can leave some groceries in the car because I have to carry 50 bags, so I don't have to take 15 trips. So Onita.
I was gonna say, Ebony, to your point, I was sitting here, and even as I began to talk, there were so many things coming in my brain at the same time. I'm like, Lord, if we can unpack the history to the present, it was so much. So Pensalet dating, I do have a
next season.
Friend of mine is Dr. Holly Fishman, who actually has her doctorate in African American studies, particularly in stuff. Dr. Holly Fisher Hickman.
Oh, I and I went to high school together.
Oh, y'all did? Okay, yeah. So she's been watching too, but African American studies, but she talks a lot about this. But I was gonna say two things. One, to Ebony's point, back to what Ebony was talking about, what we saw growing up. I also, y'all, saw that a lot in church with Christian women having the same thing. So for my family coming out of the, I would say, world, coming into church, I thought I was going to see all the best examples. I got a lot of the same mentality from how women were, how women were operating, being strong women, and married women or single. And I saw a lot of women doing all the grunt work, doing all the heavy lifting, being in the kitchen, doing all the prep for baptism, doing everything, doing all the grunt work. And the men got to be on the pulpit or got to sit in the front pew and be served first. So it happened in the world and it happened in church. And so I saw that for years again. So seeing that mentality, why we're taught a certain way, whether we were at home or in church. So that whole, we've been indoctrinated. And so it does have to shift. I too am in the boat where Ebony said, where some things I'm still unlearning, because even though there were moments where my husband and I both look and we go, man, we let go, but we just came in both feet. I was completely myself. He was completely himself. But then you get married, and then some reason there's this expectations thing, unspoken and unmet expectations where you haven't spoken them, but they're not being met, but you got attitude about it. But you never spoke.
Yeah.
So you have to be clear about expectations and start saying this stuff in the dating period of what these expectations are, or how you would like for things to happen, how you would like them to see them be done. And I think Khaleesi even talked about it too, with the door being open and all that. But I would say in the marriage where I had to learn to allow my husband. So some things, a lot of baggage I was carrying, like Erykah Badu, bag lady. Some things, it wasn't even that he said, I'm not going to do it. There was parts of me, it didn't get done fast enough. So I started what I'm talking about. Okay, so what I did indirectly though was I started teaching him, you don't have to help me with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I later
Yes.
got mad. I
Yes,
later
girl.
got mad or resentful, and sometimes not expressing it.
Mm-hmm.
I later got resentful because he wasn't doing these things, but I never allowed him to, or I didn't wait the
Mhm.
32 seconds more, or
Mhm.
because the lineage of women I came from, if you don't do it
Mhm.
my way, when I want it, or how it's gonna be
Mhm.
done, I'm gonna do it myself. And so you start this hamster wheel of perpetuating this persona of I got it, but then you're
Yes.
mad because he's not doing it your way. So I too had to be convicted, converted, and still daily we both pray to God
Mhm.
for a renewing of my mind. Because when I
Mm-hmm.
realized, to your point, Lorraine, being exhausted, I was to the point of exhaustion, and I saw a lot of marriages dissolve during the pandemic over people being exhausted to the point where they didn't even
Mhm.
have any fight left in them to try again. And if you talk to
Mhm.
them, and I'm just talking about Christian relationships,
Mm-hmm.
if you literally ask them to write down the issues on paper, you would say that's pet. These are petty. But
Mhm.
these
Mhm.
petty offenses built a brick wall of
Mm-hmm.
separation for years to where they
Yes.
can no longer see the purpose of being with each other anymore over that wall. And so
Yeah.
therefore they all the life, all the breath, everything came out of them, and they both were completely exhausted because all these things never got
Right.
they didn't resolve. And so daily I pray for a renewed mind. And my husband has to do it too, but so that I had to let him in, I had to let him do things, even simple things as he's home working from home, both let him cook the eggs for the kids. If that's gonna give me another 10 minutes in the bathroom
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
do a little self-care or do whatever, because if
But
acts
just
of
stop
service
looking
is
at
my love, if acts of service is my love language, but I won't let him serve me,
it.
and then
Mhm.
I'm mad, like let's get it together.
Mhm.
But if I'm also very tired and physical touch is his love language, but I'm over here tired because I'm doing everything, so now I
Mhm.
got no energy for him. We're not meeting each other's
Right.
needs. And guess who loves it? The devil. He loves the
Right.
fact that we are being too stubborn and too stuck in our ways to not give in, to not clearly communicate these expectations. And so you built this wall. And so we had to come to Jesus and have those conversations where I'm
Exactly.
exhausted
You
and
got to come to
tired,
Jesus.
and come to Jesus and
Mhm.
say, here's what I need, here's what you need, and do the work. And so yeah.
And I just want to re-emphasize next time
Getting
you're
your
in
beloved
church,
over there.
next time you're in church and you hear that Ephesians 5 scripture, listen how the minister
The men.
deals with the and give himself for it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If they read it, they won't
Mhm.
address it, and
Mhm.
I don't know why. I
Yeah.
Well,
knew
Mhm.
it
you
was
know why.
there. Well, yeah, because the scripture almost puts, without that, it puts the onus on the
Yes.
woman.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but when you add that in, the onus now comes to
The man.
the
Mhm.
father of the prodigal son going out seeking. He's seeking.
Mhm.
He's
Yes.
Mhm.
seeking. He's
Yes.
seeking.
Yes.
He's the one seeking.
Yes.
Jesus is the one seeking. Jesus is the one doing the stuff for the church,
Hmm.
giving himself for the church. It's
Mm-hmm.
him. It's him. It's him.
Wow.
Whereas the when we preach it, it's her. It's her, and he has to do a little bit here.
Yeah, it's
No,
Yeah.
he's carrying the load of the
I've
relationship.
never, I've never put the onus on the woman. Never.
Mm.
All right.
Mm.
That scripture to me is so clear that because when you're equating it to Christ,
Yeah.
the onus is not on us. Onus is not
It's,
on us.
Few
Christ
women do.
first.
so when you
Few
think
women do
about
that.
that and really comprehend that, men are messing up.
Yeah.
We're not carrying the load of that scripture, and the men preaching it are not
Mhm.
preaching the
Yeah.
load
Right.
All right.
of
Right.
that
For
scripture.
years they have
Right.
preached it that way, and that's the patriarchal
Mhm.
tone that has been preached,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and putting it back
Mhm.
on us. I mean, even the way the whole concept of Eve biting the fruit in the garden, they put that, oh, Eve, and
Choose
I
the
can't
fruit you
lie,
want.
I used to be mad at Eve. I should be mad at Eve because I was like, oh my gosh, I got to go through all this stuff because she bit the fruit. But even that, but to your point, Hayden, the way it was preached, it was always done in such a way that it was not the Christ way of giving yourself.
And the way that you know that is that even people who don't go to church, men who don't even go to church, will say wives should submit to their husbands. They don't even know the rest of the part.
No.
They don't even know the rest of the verse, but they want to throw wives submit to your husbands because the church, again, the center where all of that is supposed to be done in the way that God has it, so that it becomes an influence to those around. They patriarchal and misogynistic and just domineering, and then the world's like, oh, the Bible says you got to submit. How many guys who abuse their wives used up that verse in order to do it?
Oh yeah.
So
absolutely, and I'm hoping that that's not what these guys are. These women are naturally submissive. They're saying they're not submissive, but they're naturally submissive in the way the world counts submission in these third world countries. And I hope these men are not just soaking it all up, that God is giving you a responsibility to give yourself for it. And it's a big responsibility. It might keep me out of the marriage pool because I'm like, whoa, so what does that look like? That's my question, because I didn't do it. I didn't understand it the way I think I understand it now, and I bet 5 years from now I'm like, oh, well, I understand it even more now that it is on me. If I'm going to be like Christ, it's on me.
Yeah. And I think it's a constant growing. It's a once you recognize that you don't understand it, then you have to recognize that you don't understand it. Even at the level that you're like, okay, I didn't used to get it like this, so there's probably more to that. I mean, and so it's like the constant searching. And for the women too, submission is not cooking and cleaning and keeping the house. That's not what submission is. Those may be acts of a traditional home that I do think that wives are responsible for, but that's not submission.
Yeah.
Submission is about something way deeper than that. It's about a level of trust and appreciate. It's coming under the mission of the husband that God has given him for your family.
Yeah.
And so you're partners in it, but you're saying, I mean, the way one of the ways that I think about pastors, like male pastors, or even female pastors, but mostly male pastors. They're called, most of them, some of them, whatever. and
some of them call themselves.
Yeah, some of them call themselves. That was like a selfie. But but so if they're called to this mission, okay, and this purpose, and they're married, if they get moved to a church, they get called, and they're like praying, and the wife's praying, Lord, is this one? Yeah, okay. And so now you move 5 years or 2 years. Your wife is submitted to that.
Yes.
Because no matter what her job is, no matter what she has done, no matter how much money she's making, she gonna have to quit her job and move wherever you move, because she's submitted in even a different way when she said yes to you. She knew, but you're like every 2 or 3 or 5 or 10, whether she likes it there or she doesn't, she has submitted to that. And I picture that when I think about submission in a totality of your relationship. It doesn't mean you don't have an opinion. He talks to her, they pray together, whatever. But when the word comes from God and he's loving as Christ and he's submitted to Christ, when the word comes from God that you move, they move. He doesn't move, they move. Her whole life that she set up here has to be left. And I think that that is a level of submission that we often don't think about, because even if he's not a pastor, whatever the mission, like you trust that God has given him a purpose. Of course, you're talking, you're equal. That's not the point. But ultimately, he's leading the family. And you're saying, I trust that he's being led by God and this ain't a selfie. I'm coming under that mission. And sometimes I might be a little shaky, like, I'm not really sure, but I trust him because I trust his relationship to the Father. All right, babe, we're gonna go. I'm with you. And I'm not gonna be like, if it don't work out, see, I told you. Can't do that. Because when I decide, it's we. And that's like even when I'm like on the church board or stuff, you know, we're trying to find a pastor or whatever, and the conference guy came to talk about it, and he said, you know, one thing that bothers him a lot when he was a pastor, he's like, when we're in the boardroom and we're discussing an issue, you can say whatever you want to say. We're talking about it, we're discussing, you disagree, we're talking all these things. He's like, once we vote on it, it's not me, it's we.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, part of submission. We can discuss it in the bedroom, but once we've come to a decision that we're going to go this way, it's not his decision.
Yeah.
Our decision.
Yeah.
It's our plan. It's our direction. And whatever comes of that is on us, not on him.
The other thoughts that I had while you guys were talking was about train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they're old, they will not depart from it. I think it has to do with this as well. But the way that things have turned out is that the systems and the thoughts are so broken. So the way that people are taught to look and think at relationships and independence and this and that, they're so out of whack.
Yeah.
That the relationships are definitely being affected by this, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's in the church as well.
Yeah, I think that back to these women, and especially in the Philippines, they were raised to take care of men a certain way. They have the same chromosomes as American women, but they're offended by men cleaning up or by doing what they believe. This is how they're raised.
I'm not offended by that.
Yeah. But yeah, you're not offended by it. They are offended. This is how they were raised. I mean, this is not in the DNA. This is part of how we need to raise people. I'm not talking about that specifically. I'm talking about us raising our men and women to respect and to honor each other the way we were talking about Ebony and Renee. How to that's part of how you are cultured, raised, how it is.
And it brings in their sense of worth. That's their thing that brings in their sense of worth.
I will say this.
Yeah.
Say it quickly.
One thing that I learned about me is that I found that I am offended when I am not, I'm going to use the word allowed to contribute. If there is something that, I don't like it when I am able to contribute and people like I'm shut down and I'm not able to do that. Because just like I was talking about how like being a woman, how nurturing is just kind of a natural part of who we are. When I'm able to help and contribute with some things, not everything, because I know that I can't and I'm not needed for everything. But I know that when I can and somebody shuts me down, it feels like somebody, I don't even know, like somebody broke my cup. Like I can't pour and I just, something feels very wrong about that.
Yeah.
Say more about this, sis.
Yeah.
Give me an example. Give me an example what you mean, if you can.
For example, okay. All right, so I'm totally making this up. So I'm a grandparent now. Like, say my son came over to the house and he was like, "Oh, well, the baby needs to eat and the baby needs this and that," and I'll be like, and maybe he needs to fix the bottle and the baby needs to be changed and the baby spit up on their clothes or something like that, right? So I want to help you with something. Like, you don't have to do all of that. Please allow me to take something off of your plate, because that's my way of being able to help. And my help is my love. Like, help, let me do that for you. Like, no, mom, sit down. I got. No.
Yeah. I
you
can
do
relate
some.
to that.
I'm not going to take it all from you. I'm
Yeah.
trying to take over your job. But let me just help you with a piece of it. It's my natural instinct to want to help in some way. And so again, when somebody shuts me down or forces me to have to suppress what is coming natural, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
I can relate to that 100%.
Yeah, I think contribution in a relationship is important, and we have to find ways to find people that our contributions sync up, so that one person doesn't feel left out in one way or the other. I think at my age right now, I mean, I'm gonna end up with someone with a career in theory, and I'm not paying 100%. Let's do this together. Let's work together. But before, when you have younger children or whatever, it can be a different way. But I think that you gotta be in sync with each other. And one of the things I'll say, part of the problem with relationships is there are some logistical things. Well, number one, we don't know ourselves enough, especially if you get married early. And number two, there's some logistical things that we just don't discuss. Like we're gonna just magically figure it out when we're married. If a guy tells you that I'm not capable of caring for your vehicle, and you need somebody to care for your vehicle,
right?
He's not handsome enough. You gotta say, you know what? That's a deal breaker for me.
Yeah.
But if you're capable and you feel perfectly okay with it, then no, go ahead. But I think that those things are just not part of the discussions that we have. We don't. We want love to conquer all.
Yeah.
And it don't.
And it don't. It don't. 100%.
So with that being said, are you guys in?
Go ahead, bro.
No, I was going to say, you guys don't have to stop every time I get ready to say something, but are you guys in support of that idea that love is not enough to keep a relationship or a marriage?
Totally. It's not. Absolutely not.
I'll be as radical to say that no, we look at Far East relationships, especially India, where they foster a mutual understanding that isn't quite what it's not our version of love. But they get together, they stay together. I see them in Walmart walking, looking angry. They're not all over. They got their kids. Their relationship is utilitarian. It seems to me, but they're in an arrangement, literally and figuratively. It was an arranged marriage, and this is what they're going to do, and they're going to do it till death do they part. Yeah. So I think what we've done in the West, we've romanticized what it is, what marriage is for. And we want to have the butterflies and all this giddiness, when the practical stuff, like I need a man. I don't want to take out the garbage at night. So in order to do that, I need a man. I want to have children. I need a man. I want to have a mother for my children. I need a woman to do that type of stuff. So there's some practical parts that we have just romanticized. I mean, I don't think we could get away from it here in the West, because that's how we were trained, right? We need that level of we do need some of those butterflies.
Yeah.
But but sometimes those butterflies are don't lead right. They're not.
Yeah.
They don't see well, and they
Yeah.
don't lead us in the right direction.
I agree with that 100%. I
Right.
mean, we, my husband and I have been married for 25 years this year. And it was not until probably early this year, I think, that we had a conversation about the fact that we did not come into our marriage having any realistic expectations. My husband came into the marriage thinking one way, that he wanted a wife who was going to do this and who was going to do that. I came into the marriage thinking I wanted my husband to do this and to do that. We didn't talk to each other about that. We got married when we were 23 and 24. We had no idea that those types of conversations needed to happen. And we have been butting heads on issues for 25 years that had we had a conversation at any point along those 25 years, we could have resolved. But the further we got along in our marriage, the longer that we've been married, it's like it's muddied now. Like we still each have the expectation or the desires that we wanted, but it's like we 25 years in now. Like, is that realistic? But it is. It's not too late for us to have those conversations that make sense, because we're gonna be married for a grip. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We still got, we still young, so provided God don't take us,
Yeah,
so it's like we still should have those conversations.
I like the backlash that Michelle Obama had when she said that for 10 years. Did she say she hated Barack or didn't like him?
They didn't like each other. They didn't even like each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think she said each other. Did she say each other, or she said she didn't like him?
She didn't
like him.
She didn't like him.
She didn't like him. But here's the thing that kept them together. They were committed.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you going to stay with someone for 10 years, not liking them, without the commitment? We are here for a goal. We're working together, and like you or not, we are working together.
Yeah.
And I think that the commitment part is the important part of the relationship. Love is great. Love is great and all that. But hey, we're going through this together, no matter if you like me or not.
Yeah.
You know?
Like
and
you
it's
said,
tough to wake up in the morning to a woman that doesn't like you. I tell you
right.
that.
Oh, that's definitely. The Bible says with a clanging cymbals.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to say something about what Renee said a couple minutes ago about like feeling just kind of weird when she isn't allowed to help or give. And I just think that people don't understand, and this is so much the importance to me of singles ministry, that people don't understand those nuances and those things. They just think you want to have sex. Well, yeah, of course we want to have sex. Who wouldn't? But I'm like, but that's not the only reason you want to get married. You want to have a partner in life and all that. But like more and more for me, I have recognized that like, I just want to like really give to someone.
Yeah.
I want to give my whole self to someone. But it's just like I have all of this like just overflowing in me now. That's just like I want to pour into somebody.
Yeah.
Of course I want that back, but it's just like I want it. I feel it's almost like you feel like love constipated. Like I'm just like yes.
All righty,
absolutely.
Like you want to flow, but you can't. Like you're stuck.
Yeah, I was gonna say back up.
There's no one to pour all of that into, and that's hard, because you can give your friends only so much, and I like to help and I want to, but it's just like, I just want to like I want to be somebody's peace. I want to be somebody's like support. I want to be that soft place for somebody.
Yeah, the soft place for them to land. Yeah.
Because I know I can do that, even though I do have some masculine energy. Let's be honest, I know that. But I also have that. And I realized that even because, I was telling a few months ago, I had watched this podcast with this woman. It was Dear Future Wifey podcast. And there was a woman there talking about feminine energy. And this is, people are saying this a lot, and she like teaches people, and I was just like, maybe I don't have that. Maybe I just need to like, and she was like, I don't, I'm not really feeling that, whatever, okay. Well, I was just like, because I feel like, because I've had to do so much just on my own all the time.
Yeah.
And I can come off, like I'm
aggressive.
a woman. I need to be passionate. Did you say aggressive?
You said aggressive, yo.
If you don't get off this call, like, right? That's true. When I'm passionate about something, I can come off, but I like want that. But I know I have that because that sensitive part of me is like, when him and I were becoming friends and just talking more, like I saw that part of me again. And I'm just like, yeah, I haven't lost that. I just don't have anyone to
right
to manifest that to.
Because you need you still need a place that's safe for you to be soft and to let your hair down figuratively and do that. It's in all of us because that's who God created us to be.
Yes.
It's the fact, again, going back to
do you know someone in Fredericksburg or something? Come on.
I'm looking, I'm praying.
Y'all gotta hook this up.
I'm praying, sister. I'm praying. I was gonna say, but it's we all have the ability to do that. It's when it's being able to be safe and be vulnerable. That's the key too. Being vulnerable. Actually, we're talking a lot more now about vulnerability being a strength and not a weakness. But we were taught that was actually a weakness. Don't tell people your business. Don't let them see you cry. Don't let them see you sweat. Like, that's the mantras we've been taught a lot. And you gotta actually, that's your spouse, your mate.
Imagine if you're a man.
Right.
You're taught that stuff in space.
You're taught that. I don't know if you guys have seen the pictures going around where this artist has painted a picture of a strong man looking in the mirror at a little boy crying, or the women looking because
I've seen it.
The healing. That little boy is still there. But Victor and I talked about this the other day. I said, just look at the fact that from a young age, boys are told, and especially Black men, don't cry, don't do this. And so you're being taught from a young age as a man to shut off a part of yourself. Crying is therapeutic, it's cathartic, it helps you relieve, it helps your body regulate, your emotions regulate. So from a young age, as a man, you're being taught to not be a part of yourself. You're actually being trained to disassociate emotionally. And then you grow older, you have a good job, you meet somebody, you get married, and you're in a relationship, and this sister's wondering why you keep bottling up stuff, you got silent treatment, or you're not bringing all your stress from work, you want to figure it out on your own, or maybe you do share sometimes, or why little things can become explosions because you've suppressed anger, you've suppressed hurt for all these years, and it will become depression, and it will come out in other forms because you've been taught from a little boy. And not to mention the men who then go on also who also then get rejected by women, because I believe some of these passport brothers too, they were taught that, and then they also experience rejection, and it may not have been from a lot of women. It may have been from a woman that they let their guard down. Yeah, one woman that they actually became vulnerable with. They let their guard down. They shared some weaknesses about themselves, and that woman, from how she was, did them wrong, and so now they're done with us because they did have that moment of vulnerability, and bam, this is what happened. So
I think that's a fantastic.
You know what?
But even trying to talk to a woman and being rejected, I believe that this has a profound effect on some men. Maybe it shouldn't, but I believe it does have this profound effect on some men. So how a woman dismisses a guy is as important as whether she does or not. I think, and especially the vulnerable.
I agree with that 100%. Like 2 points. So
this is a whole nother episode.
It is. It's like 2-3 episodes. But listen, but not just the fact that our men, our boys are taught to suppress those natural emotions, but you think about the fact that they are taught not to cry, not to be
Yep.
vulnerable. To Nika's point, Onita's point, not to sweat. They're being taught not to be like Christ. Christ
Yeah.
did all of those things.
Wow.
Is that
They
why
are
Jesus
being
wept?
taught not to be like Christ.
Shut up.
Come on, preach, sis.
What?
Wow. You better come on with that.
And
girl.
then now we looking around our church, wondering where our men are, where
Come
our black
on.
men are. That
They
door was
can't
never
love like
open to
Christ
them.
because they were taught not to be
Because they
like
were taught
Christ.
not to be like Christ. That's exactly right.
That's
Woo, I got to tweet that.
crazy.
That's exactly right. Yo,
Wow.
never thought about that till right
You
now.
know,
Spirit.
you
Never
know,
thought about that.
Saturday night when I fired this girl, my manager, who's also black, he, after I fired her and she left, he says, "You okay, bro?" And my thought was, I'm looking up like I'm emotional. I was embarrassed because I thought I was tough. And I was like, whoa, what just happened here? Why is he? And to this day, that was Saturday. I'm like, I was thinking, should I ask him what he saw? Why did you ask? Because I was, I have this embarrassment because no, I'm tough. I can handle. What are you talking about? Am I okay? Are you out of your mind? Yeah, of course I'm okay. I'm the boss and I'm a man. I'm not gonna cry over. I wasn't crying, but I don't know what he saw in my face. I'm like, what?
He saw that you weren't okay because you even said you weren't okay because you were like, I needed a soft place to land. I needed a wife to talk to because and so it's like,
well, I didn't think it showed on my face. That's the problem.
Yeah, but it does because you're human. I was watching Hardly Initiated last. I'm always watching it, but on Sunday or a couple weeks ago, and Dr. Tima was on there. Onita.
Oh.
He was talking about, and she said men are more sensitive than women.
Yes, they are.
I've heard that.
And the guys were just like, what you mean?
Yeah.
What you mean?
Oh my God.
Say more about that.
Yeah.
Explain it because she's like, because of all of that stuff that you've held in for years, you're very fragile. So the smallest thing, she's like, then if you get rejected in 5th grade, you judge women for the rest of your life.
It's leading with humanity. That's what all of our interactions should be.
Yes.
It is teaching, it is treating everyone civilly and leading with humanity. And so it's like, I don't know if y'all saw that video from the lady who had gotten hit in the face with a brick because the man asked her for her number and she was like, no. She got hit in the face with a brick. All these other men standing around, nobody helped her. And it's like, where is our care for one another as humans? And it's lacking. And so I think that's also why, some of the hurt that our men are feeling around rejection is legitimate. Because they have been treated in a way that is so dehumanizing and so emasculating. And so to your point, it is sometimes it's that one interaction that you don't know how vulnerable or fragile a person is when they are coming to a situation and they are putting their all out on the table only for some hard-hearted shrew to hammer it down into the ground and stomp on their hearts. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And so they're like, no, I'm not finna do that again. I'm not finna try to put myself out there to some other black woman. And every woman who fits that profile, you know what I'm saying, falls into that category.
Let me tell you something, Ebony. I one time early, I don't know what, I'm trying to think that I had Taylor by this time. But I mean, I grew up with women that could cuss men out. They said people were cussing. I'm talking about verbally, like I mean,
yes,
tear you down. Same. Where I came into my marriage saying I'm not going to do that. One, I love God, but also I said I'm not going to do that. So for the most part, I didn't do that. And also, me and my husband are both the oldest.
She said for the most part.
We both are the oldest. Well, I would say I've never cussed at him. And but we both are, have to be the oldest. We had to be caretakers of siblings. So we have just a lot of similarities in that. Even at times he would like joking, I know you want to run things. And there's moments when he gives me that. We have our spaces where it took me a while to like, where this is the groove. This is his area. Let him lead. And then there's areas where he let me lead, and And so it took a while to get in that groove. But I would say one time, and this is when it hit me about the sensitivity of a man. There's opportunities where I know he is sensitive, and that's when I like, and I'll talk about this later in the marriage talks, but that's when I like bring out all my stuff because I know he's so vulnerable and open right now. I get it all out. And I get everything I want. But anyway, I move on. I digress. But one time I didn't cuss him out. I didn't say you this. I literally said, Victor, I can't believe you did something or said something. That's like, I'm so disappointed in you.
Oh.
Bruh.
Wow.
I'm
tearing up even a little from that.
Yeah.
Hayden. I didn't even.
You're really tearing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I didn't know the weight.
The word. Yeah.
I didn't know the weight because let me tell you, I'm dealing with a strong New Yorker husband who y'all heard this man on the first date ask me, am I special? So, and he meant like special needs, not like, hey girl, you're special. So I'm dealing with, in my mind, that man who's strong.
Yep.
I mean, he can crack jokes, very witty, come at you about it. And so saying that, I didn't think nothing of it, and bruh, it crushed him. Like he even said, I can't believe you would say that to me. And I was thinking, like, I ain't call you the stuff I heard my mom and my aunts and them call their man. I thought I was like doing him the Christian kindness version. But it was then that I realized, oh my gosh, she's way more sensitive than I thought. I mean, even down to stuff like cards. My husband was adamant because his grandmother did it, going to get cards from the Hallmark store, getting the gold sticker. It was cute for me. It was one thing for him to be like, oh, it's Grandparents' Day. He told me it's Grandparents' Day. And I was like, okay. And he was like, oh, we got to go get cards from your grandma and my grandma. And I was like, oh my God, this is so sweet. But I didn't think it was something that had to continue on in the marriage.
Like, we got to do this right.
Like, every birthday, Valentine's. And so I'd be like, I have the card with the gold sticker. And I'd be like, really? He's going to get me this on the men's talk. But what I'm saying is, this is when God started to open my mind to the fact that even the toxicity or the arguments, the blow-ups I saw in my home growing up, whether it be my parents, whether it be my mom going to rescue my aunt from her situation, and I saw the stuff she was spewing. It's like daggers coming out your mouth. They hurt. It's like going nailing holes into a fence and pulling those nails out because you say you're sorry and thinking those holes just fill in. They don't. Those words do hurt. But I can literally say sometimes some of those arguments can have been resolved with one of them, and particularly sometimes the woman zipping, listening, or vice versa, or both parties saying, you know what, and we've had to do this in our marriage. You know what? I had to hear, this is the point I was trying to make. Renee, I had your moment just now. I forgot my whole thought. I was listening to a sermon the other day, and the pastor was talking about a lot of us are walking around with this orphan spirit where we're so afraid to be abandoned, and we're pre-rejected. We already are anticipating the rejection that we're operating out there. That the energy we're giving out in the world is rejection. So we're not fully showing up as ourselves. We're not really letting people in. We're already anticipating the rejection. And so we're walking around with this orphan type spirit. We don't fully let them in and see these things. And so I had to learn for us, my apology style is I need plan change. So you can say you're sorry all you want. I actually need to hear what's the plan change. Like, so what are we going to do? I didn't know that until I took one of those little tests or whatever. But to that point, I needed to hear, because I did suffer from abandonment. I needed to hear his silent treatment was not muzzling me. I'm not talking to you. I need to actually hear, I love you. I'm not going nowhere. But right now, this is going to argue. This is going to blow up. We need to table this. These are things that didn't happen in year one. This is like year 24. So this is like January this year. I'm like, we learned it. We didn't actively. So some things we just start doing. You get in a groove, but we had to actively. Once I learned my apology style, I had to actually say to him, these are words, and going through trauma coaching, getting trauma coach. I need to actually hear you say, I'm not going anywhere.
Yes.
I need to process this, or I need to cool down, or I need to table. Or there's some things he would just say, all right, I took that too because I need to communicate it as him brushing me off. And he was saying, no, I'm conceding to saying, okay, babe, I agree with you. Like, it's not worth it to me for us to be fighting. We're fighting for each other. We're not fighting against each other. And I needed to, so it's just the same as with me when I need to say something to him that maybe I feel like I need to get off my chest, or maybe I need to hold his hand. So for him, let me hold his hand. And let me hold his hand and say, I love you. And then express what it is. And most of the time, too, is asking a question, not da 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 da. But these are tools that I later had to learn. But because of the pre-rejection spirit, because of the abandonment spirit, it had us operating sometimes out here, and the love is there, but not really operating the best way we could because we weren't able to clearly communicate that and identify we had those issues. Now, once I was able to reveal it, God's able to heal it and deal with it. And I have the words that I need so that we can actually just flow better in relationship and be that help me to each other and find God's favor and trust and believe. To your point, when y'all said it, when that man does love like that, when he gives of himself like that, it ain't nothing I would not do for him. It's just to give it. And none of my friends that I know too, there's nothing we won't do for.
Yeah, I was watching again, Hardly Initiated last night, and the guy was saying they did a poll asking about, about Hardly Initiated, right, Hayden? Oh, you gotta watch it. This is right up your alley. And he was saying that they did a poll asking about just for the women, would you want your husband, if he was in a financial situation, because the point of the show was like the guy was saying that husband should pay 100% of the bills and whatever, and then other stuff, and I was resonating with that. Because he's like, then your wife can do the 100% of the nurturing and the taking care of the family, but he's like, too many men want their wives to work and then come home and do all the nurturing stuff. So basically they're giving, because there's a 50-50 mindset group or whatever. So they give 50% of the income. The wives give 50% of the income, but then the wives have to give 50%. He was saying 50% of the nurturing because she can't give 100%. So that means the children then have to give 50% of the nurturing. And so all off balance, and the children become adults or they have their own issues or depression, because the mother can't be walking fully in her purpose. In her role. Yeah, he was saying some stuff. Yeah. But so they did the poll, and he was just like, what about if you are in like a financial situation and you can't do, like, should you tell your wife? And he was just like, yes, of course. And they were like, he's like, my mentor told me that you shouldn't tell your woman if you are in a financial situation. You should ask some other man or so. He's like, come to me, come to somebody. And he was just like, what? You should be your best friend and you should talk to her. Yeah. And he said, if you don't tell her, you're still going to be acting out because under that stress. And now, and this was a beautiful point. He's like, now she's not going to know why you're acting out, why you're different. And so she's going to think maybe you have an affair or you don't love her anymore. All of these different things versus just communicating to her. Yeah. She's just like, dude, you are talking about something.
Yeah.
That is a true story.
That's so true. So then they did a poll asking the ladies, how many of you would want your husband to tell you about financial situations up front, or to fix or tell you after, like fix it on his own? 91% of women said they want their husband to tell them.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
That's not what men think. They think like, I'm your partner. Yeah. You're in business and you don't tell me we having some financial issues. Yeah. I'm gonna be real hot.
You gotta share all
as
the
fish grease.
issue, because again, how can I help you? How can I help you? Where to help
Right.
me? How can I help you to tell me? But that was the. I'm gonna tell you right now. That thing was not only done in our communities. If you look at some of the back in the day movies, it happened in movies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
A
yeah.
black
Mm-hmm.
man would get fired or he'd get laid off. He would, oh
Mm-hmm.
man, don't go home and tell your old lady. It was
Mm-hmm.
like it was indoctrinated in their brain when they do
Indoctrinated.
movies.
Indoctrinated.
Don't go home and tell your lady, and you need to share.
I mean, that
And
makes me wonder. Lorraine, I heard you say that you have to go, and I would like for you to go ahead on and go. But it makes me wonder what in the world a man is thinking when he not only tells her, but then when she says, "Oh, well, let me help." Like, how does that affect the man? Like, what is he thinking? What is he feeling? What's happening there that makes that problematic?
Can can I add one thing to that too? I would say because we are a lot of people are from birth are given love based on how good you act. If I do this
Mm-hmm.
right, then I'm given affection. If I do that right, I'm given love. So we're trained early. A lot of people are trained early on that make a mistake or failure mean love is taken from you.
Mm-hmm.
Things are taken from you. So when you have this, because basically we're in a world
Or
where love is
respect?
transactional or respect is taken from you. So some people come in any relationships thinking I have to always perform and be on my A game, or therefore love is taken from me, or things are taken from me. So you have that group of people who they're not sharing because then I'm looked at as a failure, and
Mhm.
then love, respect, esteem are going to be taken from me, and she's going to see me as less than.
That was a phenomenal conversation. And so we had a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you will put in the comments what thoughts you got out of it. What did you learn? What did you want to share? What questions do you have? We want to hear from you. We don't want to just decide what programs we're going to do. We want to hear what the audience wants to know about. We're preparing for season 4, so this is a great time for you to share your input and on topics that might be of interest to you. We also hope that you will subscribe and share this channel with your friends and your family so that they can be a part of it as well. We appreciate all of you who have committed time and effort and shared this channel. We are growing slowly but surely. We know that we want to impact the people of God and even the people who may not be of God yet. We want our channel to talk about relationships from a godly Christian perspective, but be able to reach everyone with the practicality of the things that we're discussing. We thank you again. God bless you. And until next time, make choices that will help you live, love, and marry wiser. God bless.